All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael here. I'm going to be showing today on how to be doing some static routing for your routers. I'm going to be using the Cisco packet tracer to kind of be showing that. So real quick, I just wanted to show that as we're going through routing, we need to make sure that we understand how packets are moving between each router. And so I wanted to show here just a little bit with this one here. Especially when it comes into troubleshooting a lot, we want to be able to show that we can figure out how to find things. And so right here, our goal at the end of the day is to be able to get router 0 to ping all the way over to here to router 3. So I'll just go ahead and hit ping, type in the address of the router that is here, which is 192.168.30.2. And as you watch here, I haven't set anything up. These are just routers that have been plugged in with IP addresses for each interface. And lo and behold, can't ping it. Cannot ping it at all. But even though I haven't set any routing, if I ping this, I should be able to. And the reason why I'll be able to ping the router that's next to it is because it's a direct link connection, right? And so it doesn't need to actually have a routing configuration for that, as you'll see right here, 192.168.10.2. And as you can see, I was able to ping this location here since they have this direct link. And so, go ahead and close that. I'm going to go ahead and open up this notepad. You're going to see here that these are the few commands that we'll be using to do the static routing. So for basic starting in the configuration, you have to enable your privileges. Then you have to go into configure terminal. After that, you can set a static route by using IP route. And then what you need to make sure that you're doing is setting the network IP. So as you look here, each of these are in their own separate network. So this is in the 192.168.10 network. This is in the 192.168.20, and this one's in the .30. So you have to put it within that network. And then you have to put in the subnet mask, which I'll show you how to find that here in just a second. But right now they're going to be a /24, which is 255.255.255. And then your next hop or exit interface, we're going to focus on next hop IP, which is going to be right here for router 0. It's going to be whatever it needs to connect first to be able to reach the next network or the next network. And so that will be this IP right here for this interface. And then we also have our verify commands to show and how we'll see some of the subnet masks for each router so we know what they are so we can configure it, and also looking at the routing table. And then also how we save our configurations on each router and then reload them so they start up. So you'll see here as we come into here, I'm going to do that enable. And then before we even do the configure terminal, we'll go ahead and do a show IP route. And you'll see here that this is the routing table. And right now, all I'm going to have for this is, right here, as you can see, C means connected. And so that's going to be its physical connection with this line, which is the 192.168.10.2 right here, right? And so it shows that network there of a direct connection. And then what we'll also need to do here is we'll go ahead and do show run, which is just a shortcut for running config. And so if there is certain commands in the CLI, you can shorten them down and it will know exactly which one you're doing as long as there's not another variation of that command, and it will just automatically do that, which is super nice. And so as you can see here, we can go down a little bit on this running configuration, and we can see our interface, right? The interface that we're connected to has an IP address of the 192.168.10.1. with that 255.255.255 as its subnet mask. All right, now that we have all of that, we'll go ahead and start with making this router to be able to come into this network and be able to ping these two IP addresses. And so to be able to do that, we'll have to go ahead and do the configure terminal, which I can do conf T as a shortcut to get in. And after that, if you remember, as we look back at our notes, that we're going to go ahead and set an IP route, which as you see here. We'll do the network IP, which is going to be 192.168.20.0. And then we'll do the subnet mask, which is, we can check here, but I'll already tell you that it's going to be the same as the /24. And then our next hop IP, which is going to be this 192.168.10.2. So as we come into here, IP route 192.168.20.0. Then we do the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0 with our next hop IP, which is 192.168.10.2. And now as you see, we now have that in. We can show that here on that routing table. Since I'm in the configure terminal, I can't quite look at the verification commands unless I add a do in front of it. So we'll do a do show, sorry, not running config IP route. There we go. You'll be able to see here that now we have a static, which is for that network of the .20 via our hop, which is by the .2 here. Now here's the interesting thing is if I go ahead and try to ping something in this network, it's actually not going to work. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that here when simulation mode. So open that up. Simulation mode here in Packet Tracer allows it to go by packet, so you can kind of see it visually, which is super nice. So we'll go ahead and go right here. Exit. And we'll ping 192.168.20.2. Okay, I'm going to open this up just a little bit. So watch, the packet will go here. It'll move on, get to the place that we wanted it to, which is great. But it's not going to be able to send it back. Now, the reason why it can't send it back is because this router here that we sent it to does not have a route to get to router 0. And so ping goes both ways. You need to be able to take ping from this router to router 2 and bring it back. And so when you're doing static routing, you have to make sure that you're able to route from each router back to each other. That way you'll be able to ping them all. So we'll go ahead and close that, go back to real time. And yeah, you can see right here that we're getting the dots showing that we're not making any connection. And so to be able to have this router connect to here, we'll go ahead and jump into this one. We'll enable, we'll go into configure terminal, do an IP route of 192.168.10.0, right? Because we're going to go into this network now. Make that 255.255.255.0. And then our next hop point is going to be this right here for this connection with router 1, which will be 192.168.20.1. All right, and we can do a double check on that, verification. You show IP route, see that routing table, and you'll see here that we have our static that we just made. And now if I were to try pinging this a second time, see, 100% success. And so we just need to make sure that we're able to route each one. And so I'll go ahead and do that for the next few ones. And so like router 0, I may have a route connecting us to the .20 network, but I don't have a route yet for the .30. And so we'll go ahead and set that one up next. Right, which is going to be that 192.168.30.0. Same thing on the subnet mask. And then our hop is still going to be this, since that's our very first location to get off of our network here into another one, which is that 168.1, or sorry, 192.168.10.2. And then, right, so before we can even try pinging it, right, because we know it's not going to come back because router 3 doesn't have a route to get to us yet, we're going to have to make router 3 a route for this network and then to the network.10. So we'll go ahead and jump here. Configure terminal. Go into IP route. We'll do this first one right here, right, which is going to be the .20 network. And then its next hop point, it's going to be right here for router 2. It's going to be the 192.168.30.1. Okay, now it has access to this network. We need to make another static route for the network.10. So another IP route into that 168.10.0. Same thing with that subnet mask, just a .24 or /24, sorry. And then same thing, that hop is that 30.1. Now if I come back to router 0, go ahead and ping 192.168.30.2. All right, let me double check something here why am I getting use? I think this one works. Oh yeah. Well, there'd be a major reason why I'm unable to ping to that, and that's because we had forgotten router 1, right? So router 0 has a network connection to here, but router 0 doesn't, so it's unable to bring that back to it. Where router 2, right, we gave it this network, and it's already directly connected to this network and this network, and this one is directly connected to this and the .20. We just need to connect router 1 to the .30. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Terminal, go ahead and do, sorry, not ping, IP route 92.168.30.0. And then its hop, right, checking the next router, will be the 20.2. All right, go ahead and go back to router 0. We'll try pinging the .30. And there we go. We have a success, right? And so static routes are really nice when you're using it in small network frames that aren't big and aren't going to change very often, because you can guarantee that you'll have the exact routes. But the hardest thing with static routes is that, again, like you saw me in a minute ago, I had forgotten to set up my static route in router 1. And so you can have these slight errors that can lead to a little bit of frustration. And so in my next video, I'll be talking more about dynamic routing, which is really cool and how it helps us with a little bit of that kind of error, especially because if we have to manually configure each router and our networks are getting larger and larger, it gets very tedious and difficult. But I wanted to show you something intriguing, right? So if we go into router 0 here and we do our show IP route, you can see here that I have 2 static routes. And this is totally fine and all, but as you were, again, like we were saying, developing and getting larger and larger, you can have a problem with putting too much into your configuration of the router, and it can actually slow down the router. And this can happen for switches and your firewalls as well. And so you have to be very careful on how you're designing and making sure that you can keep your routers and switches as most efficient as possible. And so a cool thing that we can do here is if you see that the .30 and .20, they're actually in the same subnet if we changed it from the 24. And so we can actually change to a 16, which is right here, as you can see, would be 255.255.0.0. This is a much larger range of a subnet mask that would actually cover both of these .20, .30. And so what we'll do real quick is we're going to go ahead and delete these two statics, and we'll make a static summary which will cover both of these. Oh, let's go ahead. Okay. So your terminal. What we'll do is no IP. And actually, real quick, I want to show you something. As we come back into our notepad, what we can do here is, for the most time when you're actually developing inside a network, is that you can't always just be picking and choosing, looking at things and adding one line at a time. We have to be fast and efficient during our windows of operation, because on a production line, we can't have it be shut down so that we can progress through this slowly. So normally you'll actually be taking it into a notepad or in a Word document, and you'll be writing all the commands that you need to do for each router. That way you can copy and paste it into the router and do it at a very fast pace. And then you can also double check your work here and make sure you don't have any errors, which is really nice. And so I'll show you right here with no IP route. Right, and we have that. And we'll pop this up right here. Oh, whoops. Right there. Okay. Which would be that 192.168.10.0, that 255. And again, no right here means that we're going to be deleting that route. 255, or that command that we've made. 0 with that 192.168.10.2. I'll just go ahead and copy that. Down line. See here, so this is supposed to be the 20 and 30 routes. There we go. And so what we'll do is go ahead and copy. Come right over to here. Make sure you can see that right here. And I just paste them in. And if we go ahead and do that, do show IP route, you'll see that they're now gone. So this is a super nice, easy, effective way that when you're doing configurations in your routers, to have them set up in a notepad or in a Word document, whatever you prefer. So that way it's easier, you can double check your work and have it done at a faster rate. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and delete as we did. And now the new line that we'll be doing, so I'll show you here. So we're going to go ahead and do IP route 192.168.0.0. So this is the range that we'll be touching now instead of that .20 or .30. With a subnet mask, which is the /16 25.0.0, with our first hop being the .2, right? 192.168.10.2. Okay, and now if we go ahead and double check our routing table, right? Oh yeah, do show IP route. And you see that we have one static connection at this range instead. And I'll go ahead and prove it to you right now that this works. 192.168.30.2. And ta-da! And so it's very cool to look at static routing and knowing that we can design these. Now, granted, unfortunately, with today's design within networks, we have far more routers and switches inside of them, level 3 switches and so. And so we need to make sure that we can be able to dynamically change them or let the routers themselves dynamically change them instead of us statically coming in each time to manually configure. It takes time, it adds too much work, and it slows down the process a lot. And so in the next video, I'll be talking more about dynamic routing with using OSPF and showing how we can be able to get that dynamically and make it easier. So I appreciate you all for watching, and thank you.